The voice of the drum calls. It sings a song of those who came before us and those to come. A song of survival and strength. A song of participation and voice. A song that calls us together. When we come together and participate in the 2010 census, we use this tool as the voice of all our Native people. Our voice. It is in our hands. 2010 census.
Welcome to this edition of the Native News Update on this Monday, May 24th. I'm your host for today's program, Paul DeMain. Many of the stories right here can also be found at our website at IndianCountryTV.com. And here are the news stories for the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. A group of tribal leaders is asking the state of Montana to investigate the death of a teenager who died at the Hill County Jail. In a letter sent earlier this month, the Montana-Wyoming Tribal Leaders Council questions whether A.J. LongSoldier Jr.'s race was a factor in his treatment. The 18-year-old died November 23rd of what a coroner found to be acute alcohol withdrawal. LongSoldier had been arrested on a misdemeanor warrant 4 days before his death at Northern Montana Hospital. A coroner's jury ruled in March that detention officers were not criminally liable in LongSoldier's death. Will anyone be held accountable for the obviously incorrect assessment of A.J.'s serious medical condition that directly led to his death, said the letter written by Council Chairman James Steele Jr. LongSoldier, a star athlete who led Hayes Lodge Pool to a Class C state basketball championship as a sophomore in 2007, had been enrolled at Haskell University in Lawrence, Kansas. He was arrested while he was home attending his grandfather's funeral. Detention officers testified at the coroner's inquest that on the second day LongSoldier was in custody, he said he needed medical assistance and appeared to be hallucinating. Like many American Indians in the bayou, Amory Belliot blames oil companies for ruining his ancestral marsh over the decades. Still, he's always been able to fish, but now even that is not a certainty. An oil spill, 5 million gallons and counting, spreading across the Gulf of Mexico has closed bays and lakes in Louisiana's bountiful delta, including fishing grounds that feed the last American Indian villagers in 3 parishes. It is a bitter blow for the tribes of South Louisiana, who charge that drilling has already destroyed their swamps and that oil and land companies illegally grabbed vast areas. Since the 1930s, oil and natural gas companies dug about 10,000 miles of canals, straight as Arizona highways through the oak and cypress forests, black mangroves, bird rushes, and golden marshes. They funneled salt water into the marshes, killing trees and grass and hastening erosion. Some scientists say the drilling caused half of Louisiana's land loss, or of about 1,000 square miles. As companies intensified their search for petroleum in the 20th century, communities where the Choctaw, Chitimacha, Huma, Attakapas, and Biloxi tribes married Europeans in the 1800s have seen their way of life disappear. This is not a 2-week story, but a 100-year story, said Michael Darter, historian with the United Human Nation. Coastal erosion, land loss, and more vulnerability to hurricanes and flooding all trace back to this century of unchecked economic development, he said. An American Indian high school senior in southwest South Dakota who lost a court battle to wear a traditional Lakota dress to his graduation says he would not be able to be at the ceremony, but not because of the dispute. Aloysius Dreaming Bear said he will instead was attending the funeral of his grandfather who had passed away last weekend. U.S. District Judge Jeffrey Viken ruled last Tuesday that Oreilles School District could require Dreaming Bear to wear a traditional cap and gown this past Saturday. Dreaming Bear had argued that such a requirement infringed on his First Amendment rights. He had sought a permanent injunction and $1 in damages in a federal lawsuit. He said he wanted to honor his culture and his people by wearing traditional dress. The school said that a cap and gown was required of all graduates and that the district honors its Indian students with a feather ceremony before graduation, in which female tribal students receive an eagle plume and male students receive an eagle feather to wear as they cross the stage. It's lunch hour at the Bad River Community Center, but instead of consuming calories, Robin Garcia and Daniel Wiggins are burning them off. The young couple are working out in the small fitness center that was built by the Bad River Heart Watch program. Heart Watch is devoted to reducing the risk of cardiovascular disease in people with diabetes. The program purchases the weights, treadmills, and Starmasters that community members here can use for free. Heart Watch is housing the fitness center in an old office for now, but they hope to expand into a larger space in the near future, according to Director Mary Lou Salwater. Already, Heart Watch has given out more than 100 center keys, 2 of which went to Garcia, 33, and Wiggins, 27. They come every weekday to exercise for almost an hour. Wiggins said type 2 diabetes runs in his family and that he exercises to avoid developing the disease himself. Garcia, the mother of Wiggins' 5 children, said she's proud of his devotion. Karen Hollish was a 2010 New American Media Fellowship supported by the Atlantic Philanthropies to explore the question of how type 2 diabetes is affecting the Bad River community in northern Wisconsin. Look for the full piece on this topic in the June edition of the News from Indian Country. To learn more about the Bad River Heart Watch, you can call 715-685-7858 or visit badriverheartwatch.org. In June 1996, a small group of American Indian plaintiffs filed a class action lawsuit against the federal government for its failure to properly manage Indian trust assets on behalf of individual Indian trust beneficiaries. The lead plaintiff has been Elouise P. Cobell, 64, a banker by profession and former treasurer of the Blackfeet Tribe of Montana. On Tuesday and Wednesday, June 1st and 2nd, Ms. Cobell will visit Northeastern Wisconsin as part of the College of the Menominee Nation. A reception is planned at 4 o'clock until 5:30 on Tuesday, June 1st at CMN's Green Bay Oneida campus at 2733 South Ridge Road. And Ms. Cobell will be at the College Kashina's campus on Wednesday, June 2nd for a public address and reception there from around 10 o'clock until noon in the campus commons. Because of its long litigation, the case has been known under various defendant names, including Cobell versus Babbitt, Cobell versus Norton, and Cobell versus Kempthorne. It is currently known as Cobell versus Salazar and is overseen by a U.S. District Court in Washington, D.C. A $3.4 billion settlement of the Cobell versus Salazar was agreed to in December of 2009. Most payments from the class action case, which represented all present and past beneficiaries of federally managed Indian trust assets, will go to members of Western tribes. Relatively few individuals in Wisconsin and the Great Lakes will directly benefit from the payments, estimated at around $1,500 per member. The Hualapai Tribe is celebrating the first book written in 30 years that documents the Northern Arizona's tribe's history. The tribe collaborated with author Jeffrey Shepard over 10 years to assemble bits of history. Shepard will give a lecture and sign copies of the book We Are an Indian Nation on the evenings of May 24th and 25th at the Hualapai Cultural Center. The center opened earlier this year with a ceremony that included drumming, dancing, and singing performances. The tribe's cultural director, Loretta Jackson Kelly, says the center reinforces productivity and helps teach language and cultural arts and provides facilities for the children to learn traditional practices. The United States formally apologized to American Indian tribes last week for ill-conceived policies and acts of violence committed against them. Republican Senator Sam Brownback read the congressional resolution at an event attended by representatives of 5 Indian nations at the Congressional Cemetery in Washington, D.C. The Cherokee, Choctaw, Muskogee Creek, Sisseton, Wahpeton, Oyate, and the Pawnee Nations. Brownback spoke spoke during an event at the Congressional Cemetery in Washington, D.C., where he and Representatives Jim McDermott of Washington, Lois Capps of California, and Mazie Hirano of Hawaii joined representatives from those tribes. Chad Smith, chief of the Cherokee Nation, said that most tribes had not specifically asked for a formal apology from the U.S. government, but the gesture was appreciated. Brownback had pushed for the resolution since 2004. Both houses of Congress approved it in late last year, and President Barack Obama signed it in December. Lawmakers have described the resolution as a symbolic gesture that would help promote a renewed commitment to the federal government to the tribes. And that is the latest roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. We want to thank you all for joining with us. Stop by again tomorrow. Miigwech.